Richard Daler was a 16-year-old boy who was living and working on his family farm near Buckman, Minnesota, back in December 1941. He had two younger siblings who were still at home, Anna Mae, who was 10, and Kenneth, who was 5. Also living at home on the farm were his father, August, and his mother, Regina. His other siblings, Lorraine, Ralph, Lucille, Irma, and Evelyn, were living away from home. Richard was a depressed young man. He believed that his father, August, was intent on keeping the boy working the farm for the rest of his life. It's not what he wanted, but he saw no way out. In the evening on December 19th, 1941, Lawrence Daler, the cousin, came to the Daler farm to pick Richard up to take him to a program at the Buckman School. It was 7:40 p.m. He felt like something was off as he pulled up to the home, and he saw that the lights were out. He went to enter by way of the kitchen door, and that door was hot. He opened it to the smell of gasoline and smoke. He tried to turn on the kitchen light, but when he felt for the switch, he noticed that the wall was hot and it was charred. He rushed to his nearby home and got his father, John. It didn't take long, as it was in the country in those days, for neighbors to join John and Lawrence in helping to extinguish the fire. They came with lanterns and flashlights, and they managed to get it out. They knew 5 people lived in that home, including 3 children, and they also knew what they saw, and that was bloodstains on the kitchen floor. When they got the fire out, August and his wife Regina and the 2 youngest of the family were found at the bottom of the stairs of the cellar. Neighbors would pick each up in turn and carry them into the kitchen. Then they called for help and tried to figure out where the remaining child, Richard, was. The family car was missing. Apparently, Richard had taken it into town to buy a pack of gum. A neighbor found Richard at a barber shop. He told Richard about the fire, and Richard drove home. By the time the county attorney and the sheriff were both on scene. The county attorney thought Richard was a little too calm about all of this, and so the sheriff would detain Richard and he would be interrogated. For quite a while, he denied any involvement. He'd been in town buying gum and then going to the barber shop, but eventually he confessed. That afternoon, he told sheriff's officers he filled up a can with a few gallons of gasoline and put the can out in the shed. His father was in Little Falls while he was doing that. The family had an uneventful dinner around 5:45 p.m. And then Regina, Anna Mae, and Richard went to milk cows. Richard also fed the livestock before going back into the house around 7 p.m. His sister and mother were in the kitchen washing dishes. His father and his brother were on the couch. Richard told them he saw a jackrabbit and got the 12-gauge shotgun and went outside. He loaded the shotgun and fired through the kitchen window at his mother, hitting her. As August left the couch, he shot him as well. He shot him a second time because August was still moving forward after that first shot. He would claim later that he had no memory of killing his siblings. But during the confession, he said that he shot Anna Mae first, and Anna Mae was frozen in fear, and then he shot his brother. He then dragged each body to the cellar, retrieved the gasoline, and soaked the floors. He set the house ablaze before he left for town. He was detained in jail waiting on his trial. While waiting, he escaped with another inmate. They threw black pepper into the sheriff's eyes and then knocked him out. Richard was finally located in Soak Rapids shortly after his escape. He was holed up in a barn there, sheltering from the bitter cold weather outside, and he would later say he'd gone to Soak Rapids to surrender. A prosecution expert would say that he was sane, and a defense expert would say he had dementia praecox and was hearing voices. He was found sane at trial. He would also be found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life at Stillwater State Penitentiary. But a habeas corpus application succeeded, and so Daler was retried in 1959. He would end up pleading guilty to second-degree murder. He was sentenced to life again. A later appeal would be denied. He served 24 years and was released in 1964. And after he was released, he remained close to his surviving siblings and never got into trouble with the law again. He died in Casper, Wyoming in 2008. His lawyer, however, T. Eugene Thompson, wouldn't fare as well. He would end up in prison for murder, and we'll talk about him another day. Until then. If you're enjoying these videos and want more, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any videos. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it.